Hey everyone, today we're continuing Russian versions of Cinderella, and they are truly bone-chilling and creepy today because they involve Baba Yaga. The first one is just referred to as the Baba Yaga, which is the title for lots of stories, but it is classified among folklorists as a Cinderella story, which you'll see why. Straight from the beginning, there's a husband and a wife dies, husband remarries, and the stepmother is evil and cruel to his daughter. And in fact, in this one, she specifically keeps trying to find ways to kill her. So one day, and I love how it's not specific here, it says, the father went away somewhere or other. Not sure. So the stepmother said to the girl, go to your aunt, my sister, and ask for a needle and thread to make you a shift. But that aunt was Baba Yaga, which the girl knew. It says the girl was no fool, so she went to a real aunt of hers first and asked for advice. If you're not familiar with Baba Yaga, she is a complex and important figure in Slavic folklore who is feared and revered and sometimes beloved. She's often depicted as a crone or a witch. She lives on a house that has chicken legs. She flies around in a pestle and mortar or sometimes on a broom. And she's a cannibal. She eats children, young women, so on. But like I said, she's complex. Sometimes she is portrayed as a helpful grandmother figure. She's super cool, actually, and a lot of folklorists think she may have come from like old ideas of a female death deity in early pagan roots. But in this story and the next one, she's a scary, scary woman you don't want to mess with. Our main girl's aunt knows how to go and survive. She says first, there's going to be a birch tree that's going to try and hit you. You have to tie a ribbon around it. There are doors that are going to creak and bang. You got to pour oil on their hinges. There's a dog that would tear you to pieces. You have to throw them these rolls that I'm giving you. And there's a cat that would scratch your eyes out. Here's some bacon to give the cat. So our girl goes to find Baba Yaga's hut in the woods, and Baba Yaga is there on her porch, and our girl says, good morning, dear auntie. And she's like, good morning, my dear. And she's like, my aunt sent me to you to get a needle and thread so she can make me a shift. And Baba Yaga's like, okay, cool, great. Just sit here for a minute. And then she goes inside and tells her servant, hey, give that girl a bath. I want to eat her for breakfast. But then Baba Yaga goes off to like do her own thing. And so our girl bribes the servant with her handkerchief to bring the water really slowly and get the firewood wet instead of the bath. Then she gives the cat a piece of bacon and she's like, how can I escape from here? And the cat, super grateful for the bacon apparently, is like, here is a magic towel and a magic comb. You can use those to run away. The towel you can lay down, it'll be a huge river. The comb, you lay it down, it'll become a big forest. So the girl runs away and she's able to get the dogs off with the rolls. She oils the hinges so she can get through the doors. She ties the ribbon around the birch tree and she escapes into the forest. And so Baba Yaga comes back and sees the cat there and starts to beat the cat for letting her leave. But the cat says, you never gave me so much as a bone. She gave me bacon. Maybe look at your own behavior before you blame me. And then all her creatures basically follow suit with the sass. The dogs are like, you never gave us anything but burnt crust. She gave us rolls. The doors are like, she oiled us. And the tree is like, she tied a nice ribbon around me. And the servant is like, oh, she gave me a really nice handkerchief. You've never gave me crap. But Baba Yaga does not self-reflect. She's just mad. So she takes off through the forest, but the girl uses the magic towel, lays it down, becomes a river. Eventually Baba Yaga gets over it. She uses the comb, lays it down, it becomes a dense forest, and she escapes. And a very simple, quick ending. She gets home safe, and her dad is like, where were you? And she's like, well, your wife sent me to go get a needle and thread, but she sent me to Baba Yaga, and she tried to eat me. And so it says that the father, as soon as he heard this, became wroth with his wife and shot her. Just killed her. But he and his daughter lived on and flourished, and everything went well with them. Another story that kind of falls into this category with Baba Yaga is called Vasilisa the Beautiful. Now this one starts super cool and witchy. It's kind of similar. Our main girl's mom dies, but as she's dying, she gives her this doll. It's a small wooden doll, and she's like, this doll is special. You need to keep it always on your person. You can't let anyone else see it. And if you ever need anything, offer it food and drink, and it's gonna give you what you need. So mom dies, she gives it food and drink, and it comforts her in her time of grief, but she keeps it secret like she's supposed to. So of course the dad remarries. It's an evil stepmother who, when he's not around, abuses and is horrible to Vasilisa, and she often has her do really impossible chores, but with the doll's help, she's able to do it. Now this is something you see in tons of Cinderella stories, most of them actually, where she's supposed to be given impossible tasks, but either birds from the tree that grows over her dead mother's grave, or a stick from the wonderful birch tree that grew the same way from the Russian story, The Wonderful Birch, or in the Italian Cinderella, fairies that pop out of a date tree that she tends. Like the previous story, eventually the stepmother just wants to kill her, so she sends her to Baba Yaga. She doesn't want to go, but the doll, which can talk, tells her she should, so she does. So she goes there. On the way, she meets a man dressed all all in white riding a white horse and a man dressed all in red riding a red horse. Then she gets to Baba Yaga's creepy chicken leg house and a man all in black on a black horse rides by her. These skulls that decorate the house all start to glow from the eye sockets. She gets to Baba Yaga's house and Baba Yaga is like, you need to perform these tasks for me or I'll kill you. Very stepmother-like. And again, it's separating things. Poppy seeds from grains of soil and good corn from bad corn kernels. She also has to like do all the laundry, cook a meal for 12 people, which Baba Yaga's gonna eat herself because she's a badass. Baba Yaga leaves to let her do all the stuff. The doll says, you take a rest, Vasilisa, and I will do these things for you. So the magical doll helps her accomplish all the tasks. Baba Yaga comes back and she's very pleased. Baba Yaga's eating the meal and there are these 3 pairs of disembodied hands that like squeeze the corn into corn oil and do work for her, which is a cool creepy detail. Baba Yaga's like, you want to ask me any questions? And Vasilisa's like, yeah, what's up with the white knight, the red knight, and the black knight? She's like, the white one is day, the red one is the sun, and the black one is night. She wants to ask about the disembodied hands, but the doll trembles inside her dress and she knows that maybe that will be going too far, so she doesn't ask, even though Baba Yaga's trying to get her to. And when she doesn't ask, Baba Yaga's like, oh good, if you would have asked me, I would have had the hands squeeze you like they did the corn and then I would eat you. Baba Yaga asks, how did you manage to get all of this done? And she says, well, it's the blessing of my dead mother that helped me. And that is the magic words because Baba Yaga's like, get out of my house. Now the task that Vasilisa's stepmother sent her to Baba Yaga for was to bring back light for the inside of the house. And so Baba Yaga's like, here, take one of the skull lights and go home with that. So she does. So when she gets home, she finds out, it turns out that they've been cursed since she left, because it's not just her stepmother, but she's got 2 stepsisters too, just like regular Cinderella, and no light can enter the house. Like they'll light a candle, bring it into the house, it goes out immediately. And so she's like, oh, maybe if I bring the skull into the house, that'll help them. Stepmother immediately seizes it and she's like, yes, we're gonna put this in the best room. And so she takes it in there with the 2 stepsisters, and then the eyes start to glow like red coals, and it starts to basically get hotter and hotter until the wife and the 2 wicked daughters just catch on fire and burn into ashes. But not Vasilisa, she's not touched. Her dad comes home, he was a merchant who'd been on a trip, and they live happily ever after. And later she ends up making cloth that is super beautiful in the marketplace, and the Tsar is impressed and she marries the Tsar. There's no ball or going to church to meet the prince, but she still ends up with him. Gotta tell you just one more really short one that's not from Russia, it's from England, called The Broken Pitcher, but it's another one that doesn't involve a prince or a ball, but a magical helper, and it's the pitcher. This woman has 2 daughters, Orange and Lemon are their names, and for some reason she just prefers Lemon to Orange, so she treats Lemon great and she treats Orange terrible, makes her do all the chores and such. One day she sends Orange to go get water from the well, but when Orange is out there she drops the pitcher and it falls into the well and it breaks, and she starts crying because she's like, I'm gonna get beaten, I'm gonna get in so much trouble. Then suddenly she looks up and a fairy is standing there, and the fairy's like, girl, I live in this well, I've seen how you are ill-treated, I'm gonna help you. And she's like, how? The fairy's like, this pitcher is gonna grow arms and legs and it's gonna just walk and carry the water itself and it's just gonna be your good friend always. And she's like, huh? But then the pitcher grows arms and legs and she fills it up with water. I guess it's also not broken now, and it just walks itself home behind her. She's also never supposed to tell anyone about it, so when they get home the arms and legs disappear and she just pretends she carried it herself. Then the next morning she wakes up and she's like, oh, I've got so much hard work to do today, and she goes downstairs and the bucket is just like sweeping up and taking care of the hard chores for her. And it just ends with, and the bucket was her true and faithful friend the rest of her life. So no escaping her house, no punishment for the evil mother, just a bucket friend forever, and I'd take it. I have a podcast, Folktales and Fairy Lore. The link is in my bio. Same with my YouTube channel and my Instagram page. Check out my book, Dust Spells, which is a young adult romance historical fiction that is based on the Grimm Brothers' 12 Dancing Princesses or the shoes that were danced to pieces. Don't piss off Baba Yaga today.